She's the biggest star in the world. Every single she releases is a hit. Her albums set records that nobody might ever match. Best-selling studio album for a female solo artist, the best-selling country music album of all time. The first female artist to have 3 consecutive albums sell over 10 million copies. A sold-out world tour. People are camping outside of wherever she's staying just to maybe catch a glimpse of her. She married a man who was a star in his own right. And she's not Taylor Swift. On Once Around the Country, let's talk about just how big Shania Twain really was. It's called recency bias, which is the tendency to give more weight to recent events than older ones. You see it a lot in sports. Is LeBron James the greatest basketball player ever? Wait, have you already forgotten Michael Jordan? Okay, so it's Jordan. Hold on. How about the guy who won 11 championships in 13 seasons, winning titles in high school, college, and an Olympic gold medal? I think Bill Russell has a pretty good case, huh? Taylor Swift is, in my opinion, the biggest star on the planet today. If you could get Stevie Nicks and Paul McCartney to play your wedding, you win. The recency bias comes in when you think nobody has reached those levels before. Every decade, it seems, has huge stars that history tends to forget. On future episodes, we'll showcase some of them, like Kenny Rogers and Barbara Mandrell. But in the 1990s, Shania Twain was as big as you could get. Eileen Regina Edwards came to this world in August of 1965. Windsor, Ontario was her stomping grounds for the first 2 years before her parents, Sharon and Clarence Edward, got divorced, leaving her mother to raise Eileen and her 2 sisters, Jill and Carrie Ann, on her own. One of the first things she did was get the heck out of Windsor, moving up to Timmins. Let's not act like either one of us knows where that is, but it's where Sharon met Jerry Twain. Jerry adopted all 3 girls, and their last names were officially changed. A brother, Mark, was born. Then Jerry adopted his nephew, Daryl, when his sister died. The family got big quick, but their income didn't. Things were tough. We have a new word for what the family faced: food scarcity. Eileen did her best to hide the situation from her school. She feared that if the authorities found out, they'd break up the family. So they remained quiet, together, and hungry. I can only imagine the stress that put on the family. Jerry and Sharon fought, and sometimes it turned physical. Sharon battled depression. It'd be amazing if you didn't. Eileen finally convinced her mother to take the kids and run away to a homeless shelter in Toronto. It seems the shock of that did change something, because she returned to Jerry, bringing the kids. I'm not sure things got a lot better, but it seems that they at least didn't get worse. And both parents tried to give their children as much stability as they could. The family discovered Eileen's musical talent at the age of 3. She could sing, hit the notes, conveyed emotion, stuff kids that age usually aren't too versed in. Jerry had played guitar most of his life, but he waited till she was 8 to teach her the guitar. Her hands simply weren't big enough to make chords. I've been poor. Let me tell you, when you have no money, you are looking for options. I guess Adam Carolla could add that to his rich man, poor man bit. When you have a lot of money, everything is an opportunity. When you have no money, everything is an opportunity. They started taking Eileen to play bars at the age of 8. She couldn't go in while they were serving alcohol, but at the time, Canada would make you stop selling at midnight. So that's when she would go on stage and sing cover songs. She could make about $20 in that hour, which was a big deal. She hated playing in bars, didn't like the smoke, the smell of alcohol. But years later, she said it really helped her understand the art of performing. She started writing her own songs at the age of 10. Clearly, she was the definition of precocious. Ask your AI to define that for you. Eileen said she never became a singer. She just always was. Her goal was to make enough money so that they could eat. Can you imagine that pressure? At that age, I'm pretty sure my stress was just nailing the multiplication tables. She said her true passion was writing songs, more than performing, but playing in bars was her own school of performing arts. It taught her how to do a show when nobody cared, and trust me, that's a very important thing for a singer to learn. Her first big break came a few later. Her first big break came a few years later when she was older. 13. Not 13 years, she was 13. She was invited to sing on the Tommy Hunter Show, which was broadcast on the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. She was the lead singer for her band Long Shot that did top 40 cover songs. Music career wasn't paying many bills, so she worked for her dad's reforestation company. She learned that she was not afraid of hard work. She'd be dropped off with a crew in the middle of nowhere, and she'd walk for miles and miles carrying heavy equipment. There were no showers, no deodorant, no conveniences. She didn't hate it. In fact, she loved it. That ethic would serve her well in the music industry, which is much harder work than most of us consider. It allowed her to just sit with her dog and her guitar, writing songs in the woods. It was a time to be creative. It certainly goes against the girly girl image we have of her of later, doesn't it? Eileen graduated from high school in 1983 and Long Shot broke up. Another cover band called Flirt invited her to join them and tour small venues in Toronto. She met a voice teacher who exchanged lessons for cleaning his house. A DJ in Toronto heard her and invited her to record a song for an album he was producing featuring Canadian musicians. Country singer Mary Bailey saw her perform and was duly impressed, saying, "I saw this little girl with a guitar singing Willie Nelson's Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain and Hank Williams' classic I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry. And then she did a couple of her own songs. And I thought to myself, what kind of 19-year-old has this kind of talent and drive?" I knew she was going to make it. But, man, there was still a major curveball coming her way. In 1987, her parents were killed in an automobile accident. She was studying to be a computer programmer, still not convinced that she should go all in the music business. 3 of her 4 siblings still lived at home. Her older sister, Jill, was married with kids on her own. She couldn't help. And Eileen decided it was up to her to keep the family together, and music was the only way to pay the bills. She took a job at a resort in Ontario, doing shows 6 days a week. Let that sink in. To me, that's who Eileen Edwards is. She raised them until they were able to get out on their own. To this day, she still calls them kids. The ability to channel her grief into a stance of responsibility. That's Eileen Edwards. Nothing was given to her. She earned it, every bit of it. The resort job lasted for 6 years. Once the kids were on their way, she recorded her songs onto a demo tape and shopped it around to various record labels. Most said no, but Mercury Records saw the potential and signed her to a deal. She decided to change her name. Someone told her there was an Ojibwe word that meant on her way. Shania. After she became famous, someone who spoke the language says, there is no such word like that. It's possible someone mistakenly gave her that info, but she liked the name. She also discarded the last name of Edwards because her father left the family and at no point offered any help. Even though her stepfather had at least a very complicated relationship with her mother, he did step up and did his best to raise the family, taking her and her siblings in. In honor of Jerry Twain, she became Shania Twain. Her self-titled debut album came out in 1993 and received good reviews, made all the way to number 67 on the American country music charts. 2 singles became hits on country radio. What Made You Say That and Dance with the One That Brought You. Shania Twain was beginning to get noticed. She had bigger success in Europe, even winning a Rising Country Star Award. In her autobiography, she related she did not really enjoy the process of making that album. She had no creative control and was told what to sing. They only used one of her songs, but there was something that really made a big impact. Videos. Shania was and still is beautiful. People might not remember the song, but they remember what she looked like. May not be fair, but life is a little easier for good-looking people. That's science. One of the people who noticed her was Robert Mutt Lang, a very successful producer in the top 40 and rock world who had produced or worked with Def Leppard, Foreigner, The Cars, AC/DC, Bryan Adams, Britney Spears, just to name a few. He reached out to tell her he was impressed and would love to work with her. They started talking regularly on the phone. He found out she was going to perform at Fan Fest and decided he'd go there too. It was a whirlwind romance. They were married within weeks and started working on her next album, The Woman in Me. It was released in 1995, and man, it was massive. Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under was the first single, which led to Any Man of Mine, I'm Out of Here, You Win My Love, and No One Needs to Know, which were all huge hits. And Mutt and Shania understood how to use videos the way rock bands from MTV did. No one in country music was really doing that at the time. Shania has said she never considered herself sexy, but Mutt taught her the importance of image. They changed her look, and it looked good. The videos were in heavy rotation on MTV, which was pretty impressive for a country singer. The album won the Grammy for Country Music Album of the Year and did the same at the Academy of Country Music Awards in 1995. And she won Female Vocalist of the Year, too. Shania Twain was the biggest star in country music not named Garth Brooks. Anybody can look up and make that one huge hit. Some can even have one great album. Pressure was on for her follow-up album. But for someone who played bars at the age of 8 to feed her family, worked in the forest by herself, and raised a family after a tragedy, that was no pressure at all. Come On Over came out in 1997, and the hits just kept coming. I'm not going to list them all, but I'm sure you'll recognize From This Moment, Don't Be Stupid, Honey, I'm Home, and the iconic Man, I Feel Like a Woman, which dominated the charts and radio. Everyone wanted Shania Twain. The network TV shows called, not just in the U.S., but in various markets around the world. She was a huge star in Europe and in Australia. She launched the Come On Over World Tour. It was named the Country Music Tour of the Year in 1998 and 1999. Sterling Oak Cabinetry has one goal: to build the cabinets of your dreams. They literally specialize in custom cabinetry. No cookie cutter, everything looks the same stuff that you find at the big box stores. Your kitchen is the centerpiece of your home, and your home is your biggest investment. They can work with you or your designer to build just what you want with the materials and finish that you want. And because they're a brand new company, they'll be getting busier and busier, but if you order right now, they'll get your order to you in 6 to 8 weeks. In the world of cabinetry, that's blindingly fast. Contact Rob Scovman at RSKOVMAND at yahoo.com or go to sterlingoakcabinetry.com and get your dreams made reality tomorrow. Let's talk about the inevitable. End of life. Once I leave this earth, I can't do anything for my loved ones, but I've just learned by pre-planning a funeral or cemetery in advance takes the guesswork out when death occurs suddenly and your mind is clouded with grief. Dignity Memorial can help. My friend Tina Skurla pre-plans funeral and cemetery arrangements so loved ones don't have to. They're North America's largest provider of funeral, cremation, and cemetery services. They're dedicated to getting every detail right, and they do that by listening to you. I know it's a hard subject, but I also know we all see the sense and value of what Dignity Memorial does. Use the promo code Gary to get 25% off at Willow Glen Funeral Home. Reach out to my friend Tina Skurla today. She's committed to helping families not go through the tragedy of loss alone. Click on the link, use the promo code Gary, or email her at dmppa.tinaskurla.com or call 408-398-7050. Things were rolling. That's when she decided to change it up. She and Mutt decided to start a family, and their son Asia was born during a 2-year break. Nobody did that. That went against industry norms. You strike while the iron is hot. Shania was in control, not anyone else. You Coke girl, indeed. Up was the next album, released in 2002. Not as many big hits, still popular. And how about this for a flex? It was released as 3 different versions. The green version was country and acoustic. The red album was pop and crossover. And the blue one was presented as world dance music. Merle Haggard and George Strait never did that. She performed the halftime show at Super Bowl 38 in 2003. She is still the last country artist to do that. By this time, it's safe to say that Shania Twain was the biggest star on the planet. No caveat needed this time. She continued to be the trendsetter when it came to music videos. It's my take that she was the first influencer, to use a term common today. The Greatest Hits album came out in 2004, included a few new songs. Party for Two with Billy Currington, that was a radio hit. She appeared on the tribute album to legendary Canadian singer Anne Murray, joining her for a rendition of You Needed Me. And then, nothing. No news coming out. Label said they had no idea when the next album would be released. We found out why. Shania and Mud announced their separation in 2008. Their divorce was finalized in 2010. The price of being one of the biggest names on the planet means you don't get to have privacy. People wanted to know what had happened. Mutt was notoriously private. He doesn't give interviews. Heck, it's even hard to find a picture of him. Go ahead, search the internet. I'll wait. Satisfied? What we found out was truly right out of a soap opera. Shania and Mud had moved to a Swiss chalet just to get away from the crowds. It was assumed they were living an idyllic life, raising their son and writing music. What was actually happening was Mutt was having an affair with Shania's best friend. Story doesn't end there. Mutt and the mistress got married. Shania commiserated with the ex-husband of her ex-best friend. They fell in love and got married. Brought out all my children, right? But this took a toll on her. She lost her voice. She developed dysphonia. Now, Shania thinks it happened because she got bit by a tick while riding her horse. She was diagnosed with Lyme disease, and that became dysphonia. Doctors say it was exacerbated by the stress of what she endured. She battles it to this day, and yes, her voice has changed. She still stings, but it's not the same voice that shot her to stardom. I have always been amazed by how much criticism she received for her looks. Nashville thought she was too sexy. Country music television refused to play What Made You Say That. You should check out the video. It will make you stare and wonder. Really? This is what made you say no. She was called names for daring to bare her midriff. The label said both men and women would dislike the sexy image. They were spectacularly wrong. The Woman in Me has sold 12 million albums in the U.S. Come On Over has sold 40 million copies worldwide. It set the record for the longest stay on the Billboard 200 album chart, staying there 99 weeks. She was the most played artist on adult contemporary radio in 1999. Not country, adult contemporary radio in 1999. When we throw accolades at Taylor Swift for being the first true crossover artist, Taylor would be the first to tell you to look to Shania as the OG. I've been to concert venues where they'll play songs before the show, and let me tell you, when they play Man, I Feel Like a Woman, the place erupts. Shania did a girls' night out tour, and even though she wasn't in full voice, it didn't matter. The audience sang the words to every song at the top of their lungs. She started the film with John Travolta. She hosted award shows. She sung on stage with Mariah Carey and Celine Dion and Aretha Franklin. She still does Las Vegas residencies. She continues to release new albums. Latest came out summer of 2026. People who have worked with her marvel at her determination and her attention to detail. She has never taken anything for granted. She seems, to me, happy with her place in the world. She gets name dropped by the country singers of today. She is truly iconic. As the years go by, it's very easy to forget the scope of some legendary careers. On Once Around the Country, we just wanted to remind you that Shania Twain was, and still is, a star.